Hi, welcome to part 2. I'm going to be doing 6 reps of each exercise and you guys are going to be doing 3 sets of 12 reps. Okay, so this is just to save time for the video so I can get it out there as quickly as possible. Okay, so we're going to start by marching on the spot and rolling the shoulders backwards. That's great, really picking the feet up, drawing big circles. And then forwards. Getting those elbows nice and high. That's great. And resting there, then we're going to cross the arms over. Marching on the spot, that's great, picking those feet up. And resting there, great. Then we're going to go for a figure of 8 with the hips, keeping the knees nice and soft. Scooping out the sides with each hip, that's great. Pushing the hips into the corners. And switching direction. And resting there, brilliant. Okay, then we're going to go for hinging from the hips and front crawl, keeping the chest lifted, looking straight ahead of us. So keeping the back nice and straight, we don't want to let that chin drop. We're keeping that core control. And resting there, brilliant. Then we're going to go for our T rotations. That's great, keeping it slow and controlled, elbows nice and high. And resting there, brilliant. Okay, then we're going to go for the leg curls, so heel to bum. That's great. Keeping that bounce in the knees as well. That's great work. Keeping that bounce. Warming up the body, getting the blood pumping with the nutrients and oxygen. And resting there. Great, then we're going to go for a jog on the spot and one opening the gate. Drawing the knee nice and wide and switching sides. That's brilliant. Last one, and resting there, great. Then we're going to go for our squat to overhead, so we're going to bend the knees and back up, that's it. So I'm just doing 6 of each, but you guys can go for 12 just because this is a full warm up. That's great, you can pause the video whenever you need to, that's brilliant. Last one. And resting there, great. Okay, then we'll go for our lunges. So big step forwards, right angle between the thighs and twisting towards the knee. That's great, keeping the chest up. Keeping that stability, core control, focusing on that point in front of us. That's great. 2 more of those, that's brilliant. And resting there, great. Then we're going to go for our opposite toe taps. So bending the outside knee. That's great. Keeping the bounce in the legs. Bouncing side to side. Keeping the arms nice and straight. And resting there, brilliant. Okay, then we're going to pick up 2 weights. Okay, and we're going to have our feet in sumo squat position, so toes pointing out to the 2 top corners of the room. And we're going to bring the weights down into a squat, keeping the chest lifted and back up to the chest. Okay, off we go. Hips back and down, keeping the chest lifted, engaging those core muscles. That's great, pushing those hips back and resting there, brilliant. So you guys will be doing 3 sets of 12 of that one. Okay, then we're going to move on. So we'll go again with the 2 weights, and we're going to be going for our crab walk side to side. So bending those knees 2 steps to the right and 2 steps to the left. That's brilliant, keeping that depth, staying really low in the squat. That's brilliant. Keep pushing, that's great. Really strengthening our leg muscles. That's it, hips back and down. Last one. And resting there, brilliant. Let's see, pause the video again here to just carry on with those sets. Okay, then we're going to move on. We're going to go for 1 weight this time. Yep. And we're going to go for our back step lunge to high knee. So big step backwards, knee hovering just off the floor and back up. That's great, yeah, I'll show you side on as well. So big step backwards and back up. That's great, keeping the back nice and straight, chest lifted. That's brilliant. Keep pushing, we're doing really well. Pushing through that front foot each time, strengthening those legs and resting there. We'll switch sides. Yeah, off we go. Big step backwards. Hovering that knee just off the floor and keeping that right angle between the thighs. Keeping that chest lifted, pushing the shoulders backwards. That's great, keep going. And resting there, brilliant. Okay, then we'll go for now grabbing 2 weights. We're going to go for our back step lunge curl. So we're going to go for 1 back step lunge curl, and then 1 row, hinging from the hips into the belly button for the row, and the other side, back step lunge curl, and back up. That's great. Into that row. And again, that's brilliant. Yep, squeezing the shoulder blades on the row and big step backwards on the lunge, keeping that chest lifted. That's great. That's great work. How far can you get that knee off the floor? Hovering just 1 centimetre. That's brilliant. And resting there, great. Shaking the legs out. Okay, yeah, so again, you'd go for 3 sets of 12 with that one. Okay, we're going to move on now. So we're going to go for 1 deadlift and 1 squat. So we're going to hinge from the hips for the deadlift. Yep, slight bend in the knees, nice straight back, and back up. Then we're going to put the weights together for the squat, keeping the chest lifted and hips back and down. That's great. Okay, we go again. 1 deadlift. That's brilliant. And 1 squat, hips back and down. That's it. Hinging for the deadlift, keeping that back nice and straight, and for the squat. That's it. Keeping the weights close to the legs in the deadlift, keeping it slow and controlled, really engaging the back muscles as well as the legs. That's great work, nearly there. Using those core muscles and really pushing through the legs in the squat, engaging the glutes on the way up. That's brilliant. Last one. And resting there, great, shaking the legs out. You guys carry on doing your 3 sets of 12, and we're gonna grab one chair out now to have it just in front of us here, or you can do this without a chair, that's fine. And we're gonna go for our pendulum, so 1 foot forward, opposite to the weight, and we're gonna hinge forwards from the hips, so we're just hinging forwards, keeping the back nice and straight, and slowly back up. Okay, great, off we go. Just going to have the back tiptoe on the floor on the way back up. 2, 3. And keeping both hands parallel, so that weighted hand is in line with the other hand. That's great. Nearly there, that's great work. Last one. And resting there, great. Then we'll switch sides. Okay, great, off we go. Hinging forwards. You'll find one leg will be slightly more stable than the other, which is fine. 2, 3. Is your tippy toe on the floor there? We don't want our whole foot. Keeping that control going. That's great. Last one, that's great. 6. And resting there, brilliant. Shaking the legs out. That's it, so you'd go on to do your 3 sets of 12. That's great. Okay, then we're gonna grab 2 weights. And we're gonna go for our curl to around the world. So we're gonna curl up, keeping the elbows tucked into the sides. We want no forward swinging elbows. Okay, so 1 curl and 1 around the world, tapping at the top and back down. That's great. And again, 2, 2. Keeping it slow and controlled. That's great work. And tucking the pelvis forwards. We don't want to be sticking our bums backwards. Keeping that nice neutral spine. Great work. Breathing out on the way up, in on the way down, out on the way up, and in on the way down. Last one, that's brilliant. And resting there, great. So you'd go on to do 3 sets of 12 with that one. If you don't have any lighter weights, then you can always use tins or jars from the cupboard. That's absolutely fine. Okay, then we're going to go for our next arm one. So we're going to go for our curls, hammer curls to tricep kickbacks. So we're going to keep the weights facing each other, so vertical instead of horizontal really. And we're going to go for 1 curl, keeping the elbows tight to the sides of the body, and then bending the knees, hinging from the hips, and 1 tricep kickback and back up. Okay, great. Back. That's brilliant. So we're working our biceps and our triceps here. That's great. Yeah, and we're breathing out on the way up and in on the way down, out on the way out and in on the way down. That's great. Keep going, that's great. That's brilliant. Keep pushing, really working those arms. That's great, getting the blood pumping, strengthening those muscles and resting there. Great. Shaking the arms out. Okay, great. On to part 3.